form. Now, I've talked on this thing called worldview for a bit. And I think it's super important for us to understand. But that's not me, I don't think. No. Answer it though, it's Matariki calling. We all have a worldview. The thing is that the most common worldview is the one that more or less all of us have. And so because it's the same one, it becomes invisible. Until someone says something that's like, oh, that seems a bit at odds, and it seems to challenge you. And it's possibly because their worldview is different to your worldview. And it really informs what we believe to be real or possible or impossible. If any of you have ever said or found yourself thinking, I can't believe my eyes. It's not that your eyes aren't working properly most of the time. It's that what you're seeing doesn't equate with what you believe to be possible or real or can occur. What might that look like? There was that time. And that was believed. I mean, we kind of scoff at it and I think, oh, so backward. But that, for a longest time, that was reality. And people feared sailing right off the edge of the world. To bring it into a local example, that's an example of a worldview. Hopefully there was instant recognition and maybe a kind of a, oh gosh, he's got the image in upside down, silly thing, until you realised that all the text was aligned this way up. So absolutely, you know what that is. There's no question that we're looking at something different. We're looking at it differently. So this reflects a Māori worldview. And the reason being is that the North Island, another name for it is Te Ika Maui, the fish of Maui. And the head of the fish is in the Wellington area, Tupoko o Te Ika Maui. And so it's, I don't know whether it's a human kind of convention that when we think about things, we orient them with the head up. Maybe it's because if we stood on our heads, we'd feel a bit dizzy after a while. So it's kind of how we view things. So this is how Māori view Aotearoa, New Zealand. We're going down to the north. We're going up to Wellington, or up to the South Island. So it's not that it's anything different, it's just that how we see and make sense of the world is from a different world view. Yeah? Kapai. And so then we have this idea of knowledges, of seeing the same thing but making sense of and relating to it differently. So we're going to get interactive, team. And I'm going to ask questions that might seem straightforward or even simple, but work with me. What do we see here? A whale. Awesome. I heard some other words kind of mentioned there.
Tohora.
Tohora, there's another word. Kōrero mai, what's your understanding of tohora?
Intelligent.
Intelligent, awesome. Or a word for whale, but intelligent, but it brings with it an intelligence. Awesome. Does anyone know their whales?
Yeah, we've got a great collection of beaked whales here.
This is not a beaked whale.
No, this is a baleen whale.
This is a baleen. Does anyone know? Humpback. Nice. I can be really cruel now and say, do you know the scientific name for that? Oh, this might work tonight. Who studied Latin? Oh, sorry, that's me. For those of you that studied Latin, tell me what a large-winged New Englander might sound like in Latin, if you can remember that.
Megalapteryx.
Megaptera, yep.
Megaptera, yeah.
And New Englander, New, Nova, Angliae. This is Megaptera Nova Angliae. Large-winged on account of its pectoral fin being long relative to its cousins. And New Englander because described off the coast of New England. Now that doesn't mean it only occurred off New England, of course, because we know they're everywhere. And tohora, that's another name for... Does anyone know any other Māori names for whales? Parawa. Nice. That's another word. They got a bit confusing for me when I was learning Māori at primary school, because bread got translated into parawa. And so then I was like, bread, whale, bread. You know, anyway, it's resolved for me now at least. Hopefully it's resolved for you too. Parawa is another one. There's a particular name for a whale for the East Coast peoples, East Coast Māori peoples of the North Island, of Te Ika Maui. Did anyone see the movie Whale Rider? Yeah. Does anyone remember the name of the young girl? Paikea. Paikea is a word for some of the Māori people on the East Coast North Island for humpback whale. It's also a name for one of their ancestors. And in their framing, those two are synonymous. And the key thing here is that, and maybe if we get a chance we can build on what that might mean. The key thing though is that, you know, some will see this as a whale or a large-winged New Englander or a tohora or paikea or endangered or food source. Having one way of explaining it isn't the best way to kind of approach and engage with this thing here. And so this idea of multiple knowledges, multiple ways of seeing things, and multiple ways of making sense of how we see and make sense of the world. And so that's where things like matariki are kind of, I think, really neat.